Hey everyone, welcome back to the Heelcast for a very special Bound for Glory recap edition. Folks, you may want to sit down for this one because we have a full cast of heels for a first time in a long while. Joining me this week, as usual, is the biggest fan of the UFC middleweight champion, the hump master himself, Raven Effect. Raven, sup, bro?
What's up, man? Yo, how you gonna hate on dude? UFC 217, Bisping and GSP, they're both my guys. But man, crazy upset for Thug Rose. My boy TJ Dillashaw, who the crowd literally was chanting "fuck you, TJ" at one time, knocks out that fucking retard Cody Garbrandt. I got my $60 worth on Saturday night for sure with UFC 217, and I want my $40 back for Bound for Glory that I paid, which I felt obligated to from the Impact dude, the Global Wrestling Network dude. Yeah, bravo Impact.
Of course. And we've got the Heelcast's very own version of Joey Ryan, my boy Hurls. Hurls, how's it hanging?
To all my Heelcast peeps out there, how you doing?
Scott Steiner is shaking in his bed right now.
And making his triumphant return, but only because his girl Gail Kim is the new Knockouts champion. FK freaking 9. FK9, are you ready for yet another booking team?
Not only am I ready, I'm I'm ready.
Now listen, folks.
It could only be an improvement at this point.
As always, we got a lot of friends we need to give shout outs to. First of all, if you're not already on ImpactAsylum.net, what are you waiting for? Go over there. The #1 community for all things Impact related. And also the home to not only our podcast, but also that of FK9. In addition, we've got Robert Does Wrestling. Robert will be back with the Heelcast hopefully sometime soon. For those of you who don't know, Robert is in Puerto Rico and is busy helping with the cleanup there from the storm. So Robert, mad props to you, buddy. Can't wait to get you back on. Let's not forget our friend Andre Corbeil, the one-of-a-kind Elite Podcast, and of course the Impact Lounge with BQ, and of course the Wrestling Perspective Podcast with good friend of the show, Petey Williams. Now listen, folks. This show, Bound for Glory, was a show that has everybody talking. Maybe not necessarily for the reasons that we want, but let's just talk about an overall show review. Raven Effect, if you could just give a few words, I think you already started, on how you feel about the Bound for Glory pay-per-view as a pay-per-view.
As a pay-per-view as a whole, it had 4 good matches. It wasn't good. It wasn't like terrible. I've watched WWE. I mean, I've seen worse in my lifetime, but yeah, it wasn't good. Right guy is still the world champion. Wrong team won for the tag team match. Someone should turn their water off or mute their microphone. And yeah, someone else can say whatever they want because that's all I've got on it.
It was sloppy is the word I'm going to use. I'd probably give it a 6.5 out of 10 if I was rating it with a number scale.
Now, Hurls, question for you. Is that 6.5 out of 10 for a pay-per-view, or is that 6.5 out of 10 for Impact, or is that 6.5 out of 10 for, say, Monday Night Raw?
That's probably a 6.5 for a pay-per-view.
All right.
Yeah. I didn't hate it as much as Raven, but yeah, there was a lot of issues I had with it, and we'll obviously talk about it, but I just want to say that's what happens when your build-up was very sloppy. You get a sloppy pay-per-view.
I turned on this show with the mindset of, goddamn, it is so great to be out of the Impact Zone. So I started the show in a good mood, and my mood got progressively worse throughout the night. And when I finally turned the show off, I summed up my feelings with a resounding meh.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I was excited for this. Impact and I'm speaking directly to Impact here, folks, you give us really 2 opportunities a year to spend money with you, right? You give us Slammiversary and you give us Bound for Glory. And this year, as these fellows will attest, you had to do Slammiversary, right around 4th of July when some of us were on vacation and didn't even get the opportunity to, give you that sale because it was away. So you leave me with one opportunity to say, thank you for putting on a show for the course of a year. Because we know you're not really getting money out of Pop, right? And we fast forward through the commercials because that's what consumers do these days. We all do it. It's the norm. So you're not getting any money from Pop, which is, getting some money from the, the cable channels, right? The cable companies. So this is it. This is your opportunity. And so, we feel compelled to give you our $40 because we want to see the show succeed. And if you're looking at it like me, you're saying, well, $40 over the course of a year, what's that, 80 cents a week, 40 cents an hour to watch Impact? It's really, next to nothing, right? And then there's the show. And the show itself, I'm not as down on these matches as some of you guys are. But guys, I gotta be honest with you, the booking here was crap. The endings were just absolute garbage, pretty much going down the card. So, Hurls, I thought you're being kind with the 6.5 out of 10. I might give it an 8 if it were, say, Raw, right? But I've seen Impacts that I felt were better booked and had more solid finishes. This is a 3, maybe a 4 at that. So, those are kind of the Heelcast overall show thoughts, folks. Now we're going to hit the first match here. And this first match, this started out with an absolute bang. And I got to say, straight up, off the top, mad freaking thanks to Petey Williams. Folks, you heard it here. Petey Williams promised me on the Heelcast that he would get Matt Sydal to slide into the ring at Bound for Glory. Now, FK9, did you see Matt Sydal slide into the ring? Yeah, dummy, yeah. Dude, that was for me, buddy.
Oh, congratulations.
Isn't that awesome? You don't sound excited.
Maybe he just, went back to doing what he normally does, but hey.
Masturbate?
Whatever floats your boat. It was all for the Impact dude, for the GWN dude.
I mean, Raven Effect, did you not mark out when you saw that?
I'll be honest with you, 100%. No and no, because right now I'm watching Bound for Glory for the second time. So the first time during these introduction, everyone came to the ring, I didn't pay attention to even see anyone come out. And the second time around watching it, I still didn't pay attention to anyone coming out. So I'm marking out now for you, though.
Well, this is a tough crowd. This is a tough crowd. I jumped out of my seat. I was so freaking excited. Like, Petey Williams promised me that he would tell Matt Sydal, and Matt Sydal did it. And that's the first time Matt Sydal has done that in an Impact ring. The love is just, I'm not feeling love tonight,
I marked out.
I'm not feeling love.
I did mark out last year when that one dude got sodomized from DK. I kind of felt like maybe we had the influence on that, but yeah. Or maybe they're just like butt fucking people. I don't know. Like,
your posterior better contact someone at once.
I just kind of feel like it originated here, but 3 B's.
I mean,
boobies, booze, and butt fucking.
That's the Heelcast is all about. And ring slides. So, Raven Effect, tell me. This match here, we got Trevor Lee. He goes over in the match. What do you think about Trevor Lee going over, and what do you think about this match in general?
The second best match of the night. Hands down. Wrong kid died. It's a Dewey Cox reference, those of you who don't know. No, the wrong fucking person won. By far. There were 3 people that shouldn't win this match. Trevor Lee should not have won. He did. The second person was Sanjay, who shouldn't have won. And then the last was Garza, who didn't win. But, this match was very cool. I wish it would have been Ultimate X, to be honest. It could have been a lot better that way, in my opinion. We just fucking pretty much had this exact same match the Thursday before Impact. Who is this fucking stupid to do this? Never mind. We got the answers to that. It's like when the Royal Rumble that year with the fucking title match was Hardcore Holly against... I want to say it was Test for the ECW champion or something ridiculous. And literally they did the same match days before. It's dumb. and I feel like Desmond shines, and that was I think Desmond shined. I wish Petey Williams would have won that match after the Canadian Destroyer, and hopefully we get a new X Division champion soon.
I thought the match itself was good. I do think I agree with Raven. I think they blew their load by having pretty much the same match on the Go Home show. I don't know what on earth they were thinking with that. And then they did this weird thing where there were different rules during this match. It's like there are no tags being made, but you can enter the match when anybody can enter the match when somebody leaves the ring or something. That it wasn't explained very well, and I had no idea why they were doing it. It was very confusing. So I didn't know what exactly was going on there. But hey, the wrestlers did their job. They worked hard. I enjoyed the match. I didn't really have a problem with Trevor Lee winning just because they don't really have any other heels that have been built up. It's like Trevor Lee and a bunch of faces. The only other heels are his two cronies right now, and they're basically job fodder for Trevor, or just cannon fodder, whatever the expression is. So, all things considered, comparing this to everything else that we got, I was willing to be kind to this one.
I liked the match a lot. The outcome really surprised me. I really did not think that Trevor Lee would retain. I thought it was somebody's for the taking. Any one of the other five. I thought it was very impressive how Hector Garza Jr. worked without basically being able to use his, I don't know if this is right or left, but one of his arms he couldn't even use pretty much for the whole match, and he somehow made it work, and he did a pretty good job. But Trevor Lee winning, he surprised me a lot, and it made me really root hard. I wanted Petey to win. Trevor Lee winning, I didn't really care for, because I thought anybody else should have had it. But as far as the match goes, I liked it. It was a solid match.
My complaint here, and I'm sorry to hop in, guys. My complaint, I will say, is that Trevor Lee, for one, does not wrestle X Division style like he does on the Indies. He doesn't do that in Impact. Petey Williams, I want to give Petey mad props for not only getting the biggest ovation of the night and getting the loudest pop, but also that sharpshooter was just epic, doing it in Canada. Shout out to my man, Bret the Hitman Hart, because I know he's listening to this show.
Yeah, definitely the best sharpshooter I've ever seen.
You shut your fucking mouth, hippie.
Guys, I actually like this match, and it could go back to what FK9 said, that we're gonna talk about some of these matches that come later on the card and how sad they get at times. And this match was just well done. And I do agree with Raven Effect. We had just seen this match. This one felt better to me than the one we saw on Thursday. But I think Raven makes a great point, guys. Why are you going to show me the exact same match, and then 4 days later you're going to show it to me again? The same match. It just doesn't. There was nothing different about it. There was no special stipulation. There was no. He get no impression the last time was a warm-up match. It was just like, oh, they put in a pretty good match. Let's do it again next week, or on Sunday. So it made no sense whatsoever for that reason. I will say that I agree with Raven Effect. Petey Williams got the biggest pop of the night. Petey Williams should have gone over in this match. I know that that's what I said was going to happen. At this point, I'm going to say this is what I think should have happened. I understand where FK9's coming from. That Trevor Lee is the only heel in the division. And if you put Petey over as a champion, he can really only feud with Trevor anyway. So you might as well have the face chasing the heel. At the same point in time, it's just time for a change. Trevor Lee, why don't you start wrestling an X Division chance? An X Division style as well. Still, I thought this was a very good match. I would give this, at least 4 stars overall. An 8 out of 10 on this particular match. This was probably my favorite match of the evening, and it was probably my favorite match just because there were absolutely no botches, in it. Unlike the match that came after it, and this is obviously, this was, FK9, your Red Wedding replacement, so to speak, right? Ishimori beating Tyson Dukes with Laurel Van Ness running aimlessly around the building.
Yeah.
And by the way, who are these guys, and why are they on the biggest pay-per-view of the year?
Oh, I'm surprised you don't know after all that epic buildup they had for months before the pay-per-view.
I mean, Tyson Dukes for sure. I mean, he's been on every episode of Impact for months now, right?
Yeah. Months, years.
2004.
Ishimori, don't even get me started. That's a first ballot Hall of Famer right there. Oh, man. I don't know what this match was doing there. I don't know why they would. Well, all right, let's not mince words. I don't know why they'd waste our time with this. I don't know why they would put two guys who are not even on the Impact roster on the Bound for Glory card when it wasn't advertised at all, when there was already 8 matches on the card or 7 matches and a lengthy promo taking the place of a match that we were supposed to get. So what is the point of this? To fill time? If it was just there to fill time, why didn't you take the time given to these guys and give it to the matches that you actually advertised? I don't know. I don't know what this match was doing here. And no offense to either guy, but since I wasn't watching this show live, I fast-forwarded through this. Because I just didn't care. They didn't make me care. Why should I watch it?
Okay, so I want to emphasize this for a second, folks. We've literally got, somebody who reviews each and every Impact show, okay, fast-forwarding through a pay-per-view match because he doesn't give a shit. Now, Raven, let's FK9. Just let me ask you a question. Was there anybody on the roster they could have put in a match, in a fill-in match, that you wouldn't have fast-forwarded through?
Yes.
Well, gee, let me think. There was a woman backstage who was supposed to be on this card, but her dance partner couldn't get into the country. And I thought, I said to myself, if they have a single functioning brain cell between them, they'll find a way to get her on the card somehow.
Well, she's not a draw, though, right? Especially in Canada.
Oh, no, nobody cares about her up there.
No.
It's not like she can draw a crowd or anything. No, fuck that. So I figured, Jesus Christ. Okay, well, I thought easiest fix for this problem would have been to do Rosemary versus Laurel Van Ness in number 1 contenders match. Winner gets into the Knockouts title match later in the show. And hell, they had Laurel Van Ness in this segment anyway, taking the attention away from the wrestlers. So why the hell not? I would have taken that over what they ended up doing with Rosemary later on.
So you're saying you'd rather have 2 knockouts, right? Replace 2 knockouts, one of which would have been the same knockout, right? And then give them a reason to have a wrestling match on the show over Ishimori and Tyson Dukes?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that way, at least you've got a Canadian going over.
I bet you nobody in creative ever thought about that, FK9.
I don't think they're thinking about much of anything.
I don't think so either. I'm sure FK9 and most everybody else realize I'm being incredibly sarcastic here. What FK9 said just absolutely makes a ton of sense. FK9, I thought the same thing, but I didn't think about then inserting the winner into the other match later on. I think that was brilliant. That's an absolutely brilliant twist to this.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and then you get the 4-way that you were supposed to have in the title match.
Yeah, probably would have made more sense, but I think to answer your question beforehand, Tyson Dukes used to be a part of Team Canada for a very small time in TNA back in 2004. He was also recently in the WWE Cruiserweight Classic tournament. I don't know exactly how he did there because I didn't watch it. But this match, I would assume, was supposed to be an explosion match that they just kind of bumped up once the circumstances of Taya came to play. The smarter choice would have been to put Rosemary with, I don't know, any other knockouts you're really not using, or you could have debuted a new knockout. You could have had Rosemary make an open challenge. That would have been better. You could have had a lot of different outcomes, and they would have made a lot more sense instead of just having a guy that we really haven't seen since the X Cup, and he's only had a handful of matches to begin with, versus a guy we haven't even seen in TNA since 2004, the Fox Sports Net days. So this was a total buzzkill, and I think it kind of deflated the crowd after that really hot X Division opener. So it was a really poor choice to just throw 2 guys that most of the audience doesn't know about. So to answer your question, yes, that would have made way more sense. And they should have done it, but they didn't. And we basically paid for a match that you could see on YouTube for free.
Yeah, this was a waste of fucking time. And I'm not even going to sugarcoat or try and be fucking nice about this. This was a big fucking joke. worthless slap in the face. Okay, for one, why are you throwing some random garbage ass filler match in there? Yeah, it sucks that we lost Taryn. It sucks that Taya couldn't make it to the match like a day before. Like everything that could go wrong went wrong, but for some reason they throw this match on there and they say it has high X division ramifications. So I assume that Ishimori, who won, is now gonna be the #1 contender for the X Division Championship. That guy who got beat by Desmond Xavier, that guy who hasn't been around, like the other fucking 5 people, who are actually on the show somewhat regularly, they aren't, a part of it. They don't get the shot. It's stupid. Look, you have all this. So this pay-per-view felt rushed as hell towards the end. Why not just extend the matches that you already have on there and give them time to shine instead of putting this just sack of shit match on TV? Like maybe make it Ultimate X. Maybe have the X Division match elimination. Maybe give the knockouts a little more time so that shit fest that they had could have been a little bit better. Maybe I don't fucking know. It was just so stupid. And then I mean, seriously, man. So it's like this Tyson Ducks guy or Dukes or whatever. Like literally, is he Tyson Ducks? No, he's not Ducks. Spell like it. So it's Dukes, like poop, deuce. It's stupid. Like, I don't even remember the guy from Team Canada. That's how relevant he was to me, and I've pretty much seen it all. Thank you for remembering, Hurls. But, I mean, like, Cruiserweight division or whatever, the dude doesn't even look like he wrestles the X Division style. I may as well throw Braxton Sutter or fucking bring Marche Rocket back for this kind of shit. It's just a fucking insult, man. And honestly, Rosemary, who's probably the most popular person on the roster, at least in the Impact Zone, who is Canadian, who people want to see in a match, doesn't get put on the card. They don't add her to the Knockout Championship match. That's fine. Literally, dude, I'm watching and Ishimori's walking away and there's a dude with a cigarette in his mouth that just gave him high five. Apparently they can do that shit in Canada. But look, how about Rosemary versus LVN? You obviously had Laurel there. They're both Canadian. I would like to see them actually do something with Laurel again. So maybe make that a match. Or maybe have Rosemary have an open challenge. You can debut like Casey Spinelli or this Huntress chick or Kira Hogan. Like, so many fucking things. Like, you couldn't use Conley and Everett in a tag team match. How about them against Reno Scum? We need tag team matches. Oh, wait, that's right. You cut loose the tag team because who needs that shit, right, Chunga Burek? Waste of time.
Oh, what a bunch of bull.
Hey, Raven Effect. How about this? How about they have Everett and Conley come out and make a challenge to a tag team in the back, right? And have Rosemary and Casey Spinelli, who have tagged on the Indies and actually were tag champions over men in the Indies, come out and wrestle against them. That would have been fun.
That could have been cool. You know who else? Oh, wait, never mind. He was waiting in a fucking match with Grado. I was going to say, how about Steven Rosemary? How about DK returns? But, yeah, we'll touch on that here in about 2 segments. But
So let me ask you a question. But before you jump off here, right? This whole thing was caused by Taya no showing, correct? I mean, if Taya shows, we get the Red Wedding instead of this, right?
I would have to assume so, yes.
I mean, we're assuming that, right? So, and I want to go around. I want to get everybody's opinion on this. But, when the news first broke that she wasn't showing, she said she had personal issues that just cropped up. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, somebody died. She says it's going to cause me to not be there for the entire week. I'm thinking, oh, man, she's just funeral arrangements. This is just terrible. And she says she's going to put out a video later on during the day. Now, I never saw the video, but the official explanation was her visa. And what I understood it to be, and I'm really hoping that I'm wrong on this, is that she's waiting for a permanent residence to come through because her and Hennigan are getting married. Okay? First of all, they're not married yet. Am I correct? They're not married. They're only engaged. So why the hell does she let her visa expire? Why do you do that? To me, that's just, I mean, that's the quintessential unprofessionalism, that you let your visa expire when you work out of the country, like all the time, like what she does. Now, I'm going to make the argument that, she wrestles in Mexico and she wrestles in Canada at this point. Okay. Lucha Underground's not really doing anything. I don't know what other matches she has on the West Coast, but I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, she's probably fine if she does this, even if she doesn't make it back. But I just don't understand why she didn't just keep her paperwork up to date. This is not that hard.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, especially when you're traveling all over the place to wrestle. And you know that the company you're about to work for has their biggest pay-per-view. And you might have a match at that pay-per-view as well. Probably best to take care of that before you even sign with the company. It's just my thought, but just, you know, and the weird thing was, if you kept reading her Twitter feed that day, she said she was going to come out with the video, but then she never did because of the trolls. The trolls got to her. So it was just it didn't give her a good look. Let's just put it that way.
No, I went from thinking that she was being very professional by having an explanation. She was clearly traveling. She was getting ready to get on a plane because she had posted before all this broke about being at an airport and not having Johnny with her. And I'm thinking she's flying home to be with a sick family member or something like that, right? And I'm like, hey, look, you know, this is professionalism. She's putting over everybody. She's putting over the show. And then I find out she just didn't keep her paperwork up to date. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Why isn't your paperwork up to date? Now, could there be more to the story, guys? I suppose there could be. But, I mean, that is their official story here. So I am only going off of what I'm hearing from them. If anybody out there has additional information, please, I'd love to be wrong about this, but I'm blaming this entire thing on somebody just not keeping their paperwork up to date. I mean, let's face it, you know, Rosemary's paperwork up to date. Laurel Van Ness's paperwork's up to date. Petey's a dual citizen at this point. So's Gail, but there's a lot of Canadians on the roster at this point, and a lot of people that aren't Canadians, and they manage to keep their visas up to date, unless, you know, it's Impact's fault for Spud. But yeah, this isn't that case, right?
I gotta say, I apologize. I gotta chime in here in this before we move on to the next ones. If you're not finished, go for it.
No, go right ahead.
All right, look, yeah, I mean, she fucked up. She comes out and says she's going to put out a video, doesn't. So that makes her look bad. You are right. And look, I mean, they're busy. She has a busy schedule. Maybe like she forgot. I can kind of understand that. But look, management needs some of this blame too, for one. Okay, look, they have Orlando set and whatnot. Everything is good to go. But then they decide, no, we're going to go to Canada, even though they told the live crowd at the last tapings that Mad for Glory is going to be in Florida, right? So that's how they lose Taryn Terrell. They lose Jim Cornette. And then, yeah, they don't know that fucking Taya can leave Canada if she goes there. So there's that botch, okay? Management needs to fucking think these things out a little bit too. You need to think what could happen, but they haven't done a whole lot of thinking. Like, the management is almost as bad, if not the exact same, as it was with Kubirik and Dixie running things. And then, yeah, we find out the stuff that it was Bob Ryder's fault dropping the ball with Rockstar Spud's visa, okay? We lose Rockstar Spud because management can't fucking turn in paperwork on time. Like, here's the thing, guys. I don't know, for those of you not familiar with the NFL, so the Cleveland Browns are the fucking laughing stock and the joke. So they make this trade over on Halloween. They make this trade for with the Bengals to get A.J. McCarron, the backup quarterback there, as their quarterback, right?
Yeah.
The Bengals submit their paperwork. The trade is official. The Cleveland Browns are sitting there celebrating. There's 5 minutes left. The Cleveland Browns are celebrating. They don't turn in their end of the paperwork. They do not get the trade. It's botched, and the trade backfires. Impact Wrestling is the fucking Cleveland Browns of the pro wrestling world. And, like, you know, we've all had to stand up for Impact so much. There's no excuse for this. Like, it's so hard to defend this company now because of just all the shit that's going on. It's a joke.
You people are fools!
I kind of like to think that we're a combination of the Browns and the Jets, but I get your point.
Shit, my Niners are worse off than the Jets, that's for sure.
Oh man, I totally agree with you. I mean, look, it could come out later on, okay, that this is all Bob Ryder's fault, and I would not be surprised at all. But at the same point in time, Raven Effect, you know, is management screwed up with where the show was supposed to be held, right? We all get that, we all know that, okay. But you know, you got to get your paperwork in order, you know. And you're right, it could be on Impact side, but it's still like, you know, give me a freaking break. I think that in Taya's case, because she's only been with the company a couple months, she should have already had her extensions, you know, ready to go. But yeah, ridiculous. So speaking of ridiculous, right? After this, we get Alberto El Patron. He's back. Girls, Alberto's back, and he had a lot to say. And some of our opinions maybe a bit too much to say. What in the world was going on with that rant, and what was your take on it?
I'm going to keep this rather short because I'm not going to do the best rant out of us. But all I'm going to say is Alberto still talking? Is he still talking? And
you're still talking, Pedro.
And he really offended Ryan Satin. That's all I'm going to say.
Also, maybe there was a plus side to this.
Okay, well, I'm going to disagree with the Global Wrestling Network dude on one thing. He didn't have a lot to say. He just took a very long time to say very little.
You make a pretty good point there, FK9. Yeah. I'll stand with that. I'll go with that.
Yeah, exactly. And my thing is, why have him come out and talk at all? Because you're basically telegraphing the heel turn that he's going to do later on. Why do that if this promo segment is basically telegraphing that he's going to stir up some shit tonight, when you could just not have him come out at all and have what he's going to do in the main event be a surprise? Then you'd have another 15 plus minutes to devote to the matches. So everything isn't as rushed as it ended up being. It just didn't make any sense to me that they brought him out there and gave him, Christ, 15, 20 minutes, something like that, to say basically nothing. He comes out, management screwed me over, I hate management, lather, rinse, repeat for 15 fucking minutes. Then, oh, hi, JB. Hey, JB, you didn't call me when I was sitting at home. I'm pissed off at you. Want to shake my hand? Oh, you're shaking my hand now. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to beat you up now. Oh, you know what? Nah, I changed my mind. I'm not going to do that. I might do something later, though. 15 fucking minutes for that. Yeah, this was necessary. No, we couldn't have given that time to anything else. Oh, God. I was really tempted to fast forward through this one, too, but I didn't because I thought he was going to have something resembling a point, but he really didn't.
FK9 press fast forward to go through that segment. It still take about 10 minutes to fast forward through. Look, towards the end of the night, man, like I said, the show felt hella rushed, especially towards the end. And I was actually, texting back and forth with Kyle and Chef and even the Global Network dude and Griggs at times during the show. Hurls kind of stood us up because he actually wanted to pay attention to it. But I started saying, man, there's not enough time. We still got 3 matches in like an hour and 10 minutes to go. But look, man, I mean, here's the thing that not only did that second match, but then you have fucking promos throughout the night too, like Grado and Abyss in this talking segment, guys doing interviews before the match. Like, we already know what's happening. Get to the wrestling. I mean, that held it back, and it's like maybe losing every single referee that they have in the company and like putting a 6th grader in charge of some of them may have held up time or maybe got communicational error. But the thing that caused the biggest delay was this fucking promo with Alberto Del Rio, or El Patron, my bad. I thought it was fantastic at first. Like, I love what he did. I like that he kept it real and he talked shit about the company suspending him, because really he didn't do anything. There's the cokehead thing that I mentioned when the Global Wrestling Network dude and I did the show on the previous show. But he's innocent from whatever happened with Paige, like no domestic violence, and he still got in trouble. So that came out and it was fire at first, but then it's just dragged and dragged and dragged and dragged. It took so long you would have thought that it was Raven Effect and Hurls doing a fucking episode of the Heelcast together. That's how long it took. That's how long it dragged out it was, man. I loved the heel turn. I knew it was coming, but it just went on too long. And I mean, like, you're crying because no one texted you or called you. Dude, I don't have any friends either. You don't hear me going out here and just talking shit on Hurls and FK9, and the Global Wrestling Network dude won't even shake my hand. But Hurls, only thing I'm going to say here, it's going to be the first.
Dude, nobody wants to shake that hand. Nobody's shaking your hand.
I'm not Hurls.
You want to shake?
Okay, I might be dirtier than Hurls at times.
I'm going to say you're the closest thing to him we got, buddy.
But look, Hurls mentioned the name Ryan Satin. This is one of 2 times I'm bringing it up. Ryan Satin is a fucking bitch and the biggest pussy out there. So this dude, like, it's hard to move on and like have Alberto El Patron's name not slandered and move forward when you have this guy out here trying to instigate the IWC and wrestling fans to actually think that this guy is like some extreme woman beater. This guy apparently, I don't know if anyone knows this guy apparently wrote like some desperate plea letter to Paige, like, she's this trapped innocent victim held captive by this monster. Satin, you fucking virgin, let me tell you one thing. Look at what Paige does on video, bro. That is not an innocent woman. She attacked him. She's a dirty girl. You're a bitch. You got punked out by King Mo, which we're going to mention later. And this guy's just, he's a fucking cancer and a tumor, and he just needs his little ass kicked. I'm out.
Maybe King knew him, knock him on his ass for us. Piece of crap. Yeah, I've never been a big Ryan Satin fan, although, maybe we could get him and Meltzer in a cage and just lock him in and not let him out. Neither one's probably athletic enough to climb out on their own anyway. My take on this rant is, yes, it was definitely too long. It did not get to the point, but it honestly gave me the impression that this is where we started to see some of the production issues. Remember, they brought in a lot of new people. They're trying to get a certain number of employees to qualify for Canadian tax benefits, and they're not necessarily bringing up the usual crew they had in the Impact Zone. And I think timing, as Raven Effect mentioned, became a problem. And timing is one of the most difficult things to get right. You have to have it pre-planned, and then you have to execute to it. It really felt to me like Alberto was told the last minute, go out and talk maybe longer than he had intended. And so, like FK9 said, he took a lot of time and said a lot of words, but really just kept saying the same thing over and over again. Like he wasn't properly prepared to give this particular promo. And there's no excuse for not being prepared. It might not be his fault, right? But it's clearly somebody's fault. But it really felt like there was a preparation issue, and it was probably just because it was talk for an extra 5 minutes. So then he's like, all right, JB, I'm going to come after you at some point. And JB did seem like he maybe knew it was coming, but it was just made not much sense whatsoever. Their point was to try to throw Alberto over as a heel and get that turn earlier on in the evening. I don't think it was necessary. I think it would have made a bigger impact if he would have done it later. But that's just me. So this segment could have been cut completely, and maybe we wouldn't have had Ishimori and Tyson Dukes or Alberto's rant if we had gotten, the Red Wedding match that we were anticipating. Now, that having been said, we did get a Rosemary sighting on the show, which, guys, any way you can get her on the show is usually a good way. But they brought her in for Abyss versus Grado in the Monsters Ball match. And I am really excited. And Hurls, we're going to go to you first on this one. But I am really excited to hear what people have to say about this, because this match has been just obliterated across the internet. And I want to know if you guys even have much to say about it. So, Hurls, let's start with you. The Monsters Ball match, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Wasn't as good as their one night only match, which was the same thing. The spots were a little too predictable. Abyss and Grado, I don't know whose fault it was, but a lot of their spots were pretty sloppy, especially the Black Hole Slam. That just really kind of took a lot out of the finish there. I'll be honest, I didn't mind the Rosemary interference because they weren't going to put her in a match. Well, what's the next thing we could probably do? Okay, we'll tease a DK reunion, even though they didn't have Crazy Steve. We'll tease a DK reunion, especially with drunken Laurel Von Ness still out in the crowd and getting involved in this match. Makes sense with Grado basically standing her up. So I actually didn't mind that. And the spot that she took was pretty cool, her going through the tax. As far as the match, though, the interference was the best part of the whole thing. The match itself was very sloppy, and it really hurt at this point when you had Tyson Dukes versus Ishimori. You had a 20-minute, what it seemed like a 20-minute Alberto promo. Wasn't that long, but it seemed that long. And then you had this Monsters Balls. You know what I'm thinking of. Anyways, Monster Ball match. And it was just really, really sloppy. So you've had now 3 parts of the show that just the crowd didn't really care for too much, except for the interference. So the interference was great. The match, not so much.
Look, man, I don't think this match was as horrible as some people have made it out to be, because you would seriously think this was like that fake Donald Trump versus fake Rosie O'Donnell match that was on Raw when the crowd was chanting TNA back in the days. It was so bad. It's not that terrible. Hurls was right. I mean, it was nowhere near as good as the first one that they had last year in January. But, again, man, I'm talking about the Rush pay-per-view feel and all. Like, they had a talking segment between the two of them prior, and then they get in the ring and they're talking some more. guys, this is exactly what happens when you put John Gaburek back in some sort of creative fucking power. Because, yeah, John Gaburek is like all promos, no wrestling. It just felt very Gaburek-esque to me to have this shit go on. But, you know, one thing I will say, at least there was actual blood in this match. I mean, it looked like the barbed wire was somewhat real at times. You know, like Grado was bleeding, Abyss was bleeding. It's nice to see that because you don't see that shit in wrestling that much anymore, a.k.a. why WWE is so pussy. Look, LVN made sense to come in to get rid of Grado for, you know, breaking her heart some more. Man, Rosemary, it didn't make that much sense. I mean, obviously they wanted to put her out there because she lost her match. She's Canadian. She's super popular regardless to get that pop. But it was like she came out to save Grado to do that to LVN. But then, you know, this because Grado's a face. But then it's like she goes heel and goes back with Abyss with that little DK reunion. Biggest disappointment was Crazy Steve not coming out there. It didn't make a lot of sense to have Rosemary in there. But, you know, it was fucking cool that she took that bump. Like, that bump was probably the best part. That black hole slam was really botched. But, you know, Abyss has that bad back and Grado's got that bad stomach and eating problem. I know what FK9 is going to say. He's going to say the same shit I'm about to say right now, but I just fucking hope to God that was the last of Grado. Like, he does seem like he might be a nice guy in all actuality in real life, but I hope to God it's the end. And I do have a little bit of concern. People have kind of told me things to where I don't think it is anymore because he has students and his neck injury is going to keep him out. But we saw Santino Marella there. I could not imagine how horrible it would be to have both Santino and Grado on the same show. And of course, you know, they're going to throw Shera in there, but that's all I got to say, man. The right person won. And oh no, you know what? Where the fuck was Dr. James Mitchell? That was my biggest disappointment.
You know, my biggest disappointment is going to be not having Steve. This was a great opportunity to bring Crazy Steve back. When those lights turned off, having Steve show up in the ring would have just been freaking amazing. And obviously, I'm a guy that likes to get my sis involved however we possibly can. You know, this match didn't bother me, probably because I had lower expectations than you guys did. It was sloppy. I mean, you can't say that it wasn't sloppy. You know, Grado did go through a barbed wire board from the top, and it's hard to tell when Grado is trying to be bad and when he actually is bad. He had trouble climbing the ropes a couple of times, and the one time was clearly to allow himself to be pushed over. The other time, it just seemed like he wasn't able to climb the ropes. I just don't know. To me, the most disappointing here was the ending, and I got to go right with you there, Raven Effect. I do not understand what the purpose of bringing Rosemary out was. I did not expect her to try to help Grado. I don't know why she would. And then all of a sudden, she's like, "Oh, wait a minute, I remember you, Abyss." And maybe it's just because she has, you know, the hivelings and she's got a hive mind. I don't know. But all of a sudden now she's going to help Abyss, and then that ends poorly, as we all saw. Maybe they're teasing something with her and Laurel Van Ness. Although, if you go back to what FK9 said earlier, they could have just put them on the card to begin with, and then they wouldn't have to tease anything. I also don't understand why they have Laurel Van Ness randomly running around one match prior. Do you know what I'm saying? And just to bring her out again, I mean, why not save her here and have people kind of forget about her for a moment as opposed to bring her to the forefront? Again, another uber talented gal, very high on Laurel Van Ness and what she can do. Glad she was featured. Just don't understand the purpose of it. Otherwise, not much to say on this one, guys. I'm FK9. I know you got a lot to say.
One of us is about to freak out.
Oh boy, here it comes. Okay, first of all, where was James Mitchell? The whole match, I'm just waiting for it. I'm waiting. Okay, they're going to bring him out. They're going to bring him out. Here comes James Mitchell. Here he comes, and then he just doesn't show up. Now, if you can't bring James Mitchell to Canada for whatever reason, so be it. But don't have him appear on your fucking TV show and say in no uncertain terms that he's going to be there and then not deliver. If you don't have him for the Canada show, then just replace the segment with something else. Don't air it. Why are you having him say he's going to be there if he's not going to be there? For fuck's sake. Okay, same thing with Diamante later on. Where was she? I don't know. But then there's this match. Not a good match. It was sloppy. There were some notable botches in there. It was slow-paced. Not a good match at all. I thought this was going to be like a Broken Universe type of thing where they'd go backstage and do all kinds of zany stuff to cover up the fact that Abyss doesn't really have it anymore, and this is really not the kind of environment that Grado should be in. I thought that would cover up both guys' weaknesses. But no, it's just a regular Monsters Ball, which doesn't do either of them any favors at this point. So until the interference happens, it's just a very underwhelming and kind of boring match. But then the interference happens, and I'm sorry, Hurls, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. This is where the whole thing really went off the rails for me. I did like LVN coming in. I did like that because she finally gets some kind of revenge on Grado for treating her like garbage, for dumping her, humiliating her, manipulating her. She finally got to do something to him after all this time. Thank you. But honestly, that's where the match should have ended, right there. But then the lights go out. I can't fucking believe this. But what they did with Rosemary here almost kind of killed the whole thing. It just... You have no idea how much bile I have to force down my throat to say that, but that's kind of what happened. First, LVN is attacking Grado. Then Rosemary appears and helps Grado. What the fuck is this? She has no association with Grado at all. If anything, she should be doing the opposite. She's friends with Abyss. She was partners with him in the Decay, but then she comes out to help Grado. What the fuck is going on with that? Then, immediately after that, after she disposes of LVN, Abyss attacks Rosemary for some reason. What's going on there? I don't know. And then they just decide, no, let's attack Grado together. Okay, well, if you're going to attack Grado together, why were you helping Grado 30 seconds before this? I don't fucking know. None of this made any sense. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. It didn't seem like Rosemary knew what the fuck was going on, or the writers didn't know what the fuck was going on. This was so fucking confusing. None of it made sense. The whole thing was fucking stupid. The only good thing, okay, two good things. The first good thing was Laurel Van Ness finally getting revenge on Grado. The second good thing was that at the very least, Abyss won the fucking match, which means, as per the stipulation, that Grado loses his work visa and his annoying ass gets shipped back to Scotland. Bye, Grado. Minus that, I got nothing good to say about this. I kind of felt bad for everybody involved. I felt bad for Rosemary. She deserves better. Laurel Van Ness deserves better. Sadly, I kind of came out of this wanting to see less of Abyss, not through any fault of his. And I never want to see Grado on my TV show ever, 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 ever again.
Oh, my brother! Testify!
AFK9.
Yeah.
I got a bit of information for you. They're in Canada now. The deal was for his U.S. work visa. It's yourself!
Oh, great job, Impact. Now you've got me actually hoping that you go back to the Impact Zone in January. What the fuck have you done to me?
I mean, by then he'd get his visa some other way. I'm just saying.
American knockout to marry.
Yeah.
You know, the best part of that thing is, I mean, it's November. We know there's a shop TNA, the Black Friday sale and all, but I mean, we got Thanksgiving coming up, and literally there was a time when FK was losing his mind just a second ago. The way that it flowed, it totally sounded like he was gobbling like a turkey, and that's just, I was losing my shit just laughing so hard on mute there. So
I am.
That was the greatest thing all fucking day. You put me in the festive holiday spirit, and I hate Thanksgiving.
All I'm going to say is I'm expecting to find Grado in a turkey suit in a not-too-distant future. Somebody's got to wear the turkey suit. You know the turkey suit's coming out. It always comes out.
Oh, especially
even in
if
Canada.
In charge.
In Canada.
In charge.
That's right.
What, can we just have Happy Boxing Day instead and not a turkey bowl? Fuck me.
That would be cool. You know, I'm going to be Buddy the Elf in a Girl Scout parade this year, right? Did I tell you guys that one?
No, but I thought you weren't allowed 50 feet within children.
Well, I mean, there's that too, but that's why I have to dress up as Buddy the Elf.
I have the same thing. I have the same
All right.
restrictions. It sucks.
Look, we got to make this right for FK9. FK9, you just had a very tough time with the Abyss and Grado match. How about if you fill us in on a Team Impact versus Team AAA? Surely you felt this match was a better match than that match.
Another angle FK9's fucking happy about.
Come on, it can't get worse than the last one, can it?
A better match? Technically, I don't feel like it ever really clicked between these two teams. And once again, we've got another example of all the holes in the creative process here. A couple of weeks back, they start this angle within the feud about how the AAA guys don't like each other. They can't get along, and they're actually working against each other in matches to the point where Tejano was actually conspiring with James Storm to get Phantasma's father assaulted with a steel chair, and then later on they just don't mention it. And then in this match, that entire angle just disappeared. Suddenly they're working together like it never happened. What happened there? What you started this thing about them not liking each other, they can't get along, and they're healing on each other, and now it's just not a thing anymore. No explanation. It's just gone. I kept waiting for that to become a thing, to factor into the story here somehow, and it just didn't. So I don't know what the point of that was. So again, the story is confusing. I'm waiting for something that never happens. So really the story ends up being that EC3 isn't sure if he wants to work with James Storm or not, which is strange because I thought they resolved that on Impact several weeks ago, and now they're just back doing it again? They didn't even do anything different with it this time, really. It's just he decides, oh, I don't know if I want to work with him, and then he says, oh yeah, okay, I'll do that. They covered this on the TV show several weeks prior. Ended with the EC3 and James Storm shaking hands in the middle of the ring, and now he doesn't know if he wants to work with him again. What is going on with the storytelling here? It's all over the place. It's like the writers can't remember what they've written a matter of weeks ago. I had a very hard time getting into this match, all things considered, because I didn't know what was going on with the story. I don't think anybody knew what was going on with the story. They went out there and they had a match, and the right team won. So if there's a God, then this stupid feud will just stop being a thing now, because this thing has been so creatively botched from the get-go. There would be absolutely no saving it at this point. So I pray to God that this is the end of it, because I'm done with this AAA stuff. No more of this, please. Let's get EC3 and James Storm into some decent singles feuds and just leave the AAA stuff in the past and move on.
You know, I got no issues with AAA sticking around. I just don't really want this feud to continue. If it does, I want these three out of it because they deserve better than to be in this feud. And Counter corrected us. I mean, apparently not Pagano, but Phantasma and Tejano are actually pretty big deals in AAA. So, I mean, I like that part. But yeah, I mean, FK9, you have a good point there, because this kind of thing did get resolved on Impact to where they said they were going to work together. And then we get this pre-match interview and whatnot, and EC3 is all sorts of reluctant. However, not only was FK9 right about it being resolved on Impact, but we've actually been seeing them team together multiple times on Impact in these AAA matches. And it seems like EC3 and James Storm are getting along a whole lot better than like fucking Tejano and Phantasma were. So like they make EC3 reluctant, but they don't show the same for the others. It just, when you're mixing the two back and forth, it really kind of got lost in translation from what we saw on AAA TV with the Impact guys working as heels, and on Impact TV with the Impact guys working as a face. It was stupid. But this match for me was a whole lot better than I expected it to be. I actually enjoyed this match quite a bit. The tombstone that Phantasma gave Eddie Edwards was fucking sick. That was one of the highlights of the night for me. That was just crazy. It was definitely very ballsy for Eddie to take that, especially on that part of the ring. And that was pretty damn cool. And they've been selling the shit out of that tombstone that Phantasma does. And he's a guy that I would actually like to see stick around and see a lot more of. But definitely the right team won. I'm happy. I wanted EC3 to get the pin. If not EC3, Storm. I'm glad that James Storm got the pin. I wonder if EC3 is kind of back to being a face now. You know, with the celebration, it seems like creative doesn't really know what they're trying to do with him either. And then, damn it, I'm sorry for my dog again, guys.
Oh, I thought Hurls was rubbing one out back there. That's what I thought was going on.
If you think that I'm going to masturbate after this tonight, you're right.
All I'm going to say, last thing I'm going to say is Eddie Edwards versus Phantasma, which I believe is this Thursday on Impact for the GHC Championship belt. I'm excited to see that match.
You know, there's a lot of stuff to talk about this match on how bad the buildup was between the two companies. I think I know what they were going for, but it just never really clicked. As far as the match goes, it's kind of what FK9 says. It just kind of turned out to be a match. It was a decent match. There was really nothing bad about it per se, except for maybe Pagano. I wasn't really digging him. Maybe his stuff is more hardcore. I'm not sure, but he didn't impress me too much. But the match itself was fine. I think there was a lot of cool spots. James Storm definitely doing the dive. Didn't really expect that. And as far as the tombstone on the outside of the ring, that was awesome. And I like the fact that Eddie really sold it. He was out. He couldn't even get back in the ring to celebrate the victory for a long time. And later in the night, you find out that he's calling out Phantasma on Thursday. So Phantasma gets a Noah championship title match. So that's kind of cool that they're kind of playing up that spot a lot. I think that up to this point was a really cool spot, that and the Trevor Lee suplex powerbomb. But as far as the match goes, the right team won. There was a lot of cool stuff that you really don't see, like James Storm doing the dive and then the tombstone. And yeah, the beer celebration at the end, that was cool. But I also agree with Raven in the fact that EC3 is changing from face to heel a little too much. They need to decide what they're going to do with him. But other than that, I think this match probably went as best as it could have been, given the really bad build-up and the illogical storyline, the storytelling that they told.
You guys make a really good point on EC3 going back and forth, but I kind of feel it's a little simpler than that. I kind of feel like they have absolutely no idea what to do with EC3 and James Storm. And I know James Storm's contract's coming up soon, and we've been told to keep an eye on it. And we've been hearing things about EC3 maybe wanting to go back to WWE and NXT as well. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe they got two guys that are kind of at the top of the card, and they don't want to push either one, so we'll shove you all together, and y'all can leave together. And by the time that you get out the door, people have seen you so much that they won't want you anymore. I mean, I don't really know. At that point, though, Impact, if that's what you're doing, just get them the heck off my TV screen, because you're really just killing these two guys. I mean, these are two of your very, very, very top talent. James Storm, far and away, the most underrated wrestler in Impact Wrestling since the beginning of time. EC3, mega top talent. You guys ask about what they should do with him. Yeah, they should go back to him being the rich kid, because he was a fantastic freaking rich kid. The rest of this whole thing was done wrong, and you guys have touched on it. It was just booked backwards. James Storm should have given his promo right down there in Mexico. The other ones should have given their promos up in the Impact Zone. They should have had the fans hating the fans. They should have had, the teams hating the teams, and they should have been cohesive teams on both sides as opposed to non-cohesive teams. And if your problem is that, maybe Phantasma and Texano or Pagano, they don't get along down in AAA, give us somebody who does get along. Or God forbid, AAA, book them to get along. Impact, quit smiling. You get the same damn problem with EC3 and James Storm. Eddie Edwards pretty much gets along with everybody not named Bobby Lashley, so he's an easy one to throw in there. And that was the story of this. This match itself, I thought, was a pretty good match. I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the celebration. I enjoyed Storm's dive. The tombstone was freaking sick. That was freaking sick. They're smart to continue to sell that, and they were smart to build it to do something with Eddie and Phantasma. Outside of that, though, I mean, it's a question of why. It's really just a question of why on this one. So,
hold up.
Oh, okay.
I gotta say one thing.
Oh, no.
I want to give props to that dude who always rocks that EC3 jacket for making his way to Canada and traveling. I mean, that was pretty fucking cool, and that dude at least deserves credit and props for traveling around there. Just wanted to point that out.
Absolutely. And you know who we didn't get? We didn't get the Jake Crist wannabe this week either.
That didn't bother me because that dude. I don't know if y'all caught this or heard this. Like, apparently that dude is straight up tried to Tell BQ is gonna kick his ass if he ever shows up back in the Impact Zone. I could not even imagine how badly BQ would beat this dude's ass, but yeah, apparently this
former military and cop, right?
I actually think I don't know. I'm not gonna get into what BQ does for like that. That's not cool. I'm not gonna get into it. But yeah, BQ would fuck this dude up.
I'm pretty sure BQ is not the guy you want to meet in a dark alley.
No,
you might want to meet Raven Effect and Global Wrestling Network dude in a dark alley. That might work out well for you. You might want to meet that guy in a dark alley. I mean, he doesn't look all that impressive either. I mean, not that you and I are buff, but
I think if we met that dude in a dark alley, it would be for some stuff that Hurls might accidentally click on Pornhub one day. I think is what that dude would end up doing in a back alley with one of us. But yeah, so one thing, man, they have no idea what they're trying to do with EC3. You are right, and anyone that thinks James Storm's going to stick around, you're smoking. So we're going to talk on this when James Storm is officially done in the company here in a few weeks. But yeah, James Storm and EC3, it's going to be sad to see him go, especially Storm.
Are you calling that one right now? James Storm officially done in a few weeks?
Fuck yeah, it's as given as it possibly can be. Storm is leaving.
I mean, the writing does appear to be on the wall.
You think they're going to pay him $250,000 a year? They can't even pay anyone $50,000 a year. Maybe even $15,000.
Well,
he's gone.
That money that's freed up since Earl Hebner left.
Shit. They've paid this guy $250,000 on a 2-year contract, and they've not done shit with him. They've fucking intentionally sat him out 2 different times. They had him and Corgan get into it and kicked him off TV for a couple months, and then they do this fake-ass concussion angle and come back, and where's this resolution with EC3? No, they're fucking best friends now. It's so fucking dumb the way they wasted this guy. Literally, him and Rosemary and EC3, the 3 most popular guys in the Impact Zone, the only 3 that really get a fucking reaction. Okay, LAX in there too. And they've done jack shit with this guy. Every fucking Impact fan has wanted this guy to have a world title reign. All 4 of us on the show wanted to see it, and they haven't done shit. He's leaving. He's liking all these NXT tweets. He's like showing a bunch of WWE shit on Twitter. Like he's as gone as it fucking gets. And it sucks. And the way that they're using EC3, I'm not going to be shocked if he leaves too. Somehow they put the Grand Championship on EC3 and it's lost all its value. How the fuck does that happen?
I mean, but that's not a bad thing. I mean, it isn't. But here's what I will say: if you guys got the pay-per-view on Fight Network, it said that all the titles were on the line. The grand title wasn't on the line. And I was like, does that mean maybe they're just going to get rid of it because that needs to go?
I want the belt to stick around. I want a mid-card title. I like the looks of it. I just don't want the stupid fucking...
You really want to watch a fake MMA match with some wrestling mixed in? This is terrible.
What I'm saying is I want that stupid rule abolished. And when we do our special show, I've got a lot to talk about what I want to see done with this belt. But I want the championship in the mid-card title round. I just don't want this stupid Billy Corgan project with this fucking stupid fake MMA rule to it. Like, do not change the name of the belt, but you need a mid-card championship. They're doing literally nothing with this match. Or with this belt. I don't even want to say who the fucking next person challenge EC3 for this belt is because none of these challengers make sense. But it's just, they're doing nothing with it. It's a waste, but it's the story, the fucking rule behind it is stupid. Change the rule and give it a mid-card title. Like, there's some actual prestigious names that have held it, especially Aaron Rex, but, you know.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, the belt's got to go. Now, we're talking about people that go, and that clearly gets people upset. Let's talk about some of the ones that are staying. We have Ohio versus everything, right? And they actually retained this week. Hurls, Ohio versus everything over LAX in a 51-50 street fight. What you got on this thing?
First, I want to say, wow, was LAX over or were they over? They put on a performance. And I got to say, OVE actually impressed me in this match. They did. I know they're pushed way too hard. They shouldn't have had the titles as quickly as they did. But this match, like, the kicks were on point. Both teams were landing their spots. maybe you could say the suplex through the chairs was missed, but it still looked cool. This match reminded me of a 1999 ECW match, especially when Santana goes to the top and does a dive through the table 20 feet. That reminded me of ECW right there. But this match actually, for me, was a really good match, and I wanted LAX to win, but I was also very, very happy to see Sami Callihan because I think he's a solid worker, really good mic skills. I like his character. I hope he's able to show that on Impact going forward. But this match might be match of the night for me. I thought it was really well done, and I actually got behind OVE a little bit. They earned some credibility with me, even though they weren't booked the best coming into it.
This, for me, actually was the match of the night for a couple of reasons. First of all, this was arguably the only match where the build-up wasn't botched all to hell by creative. It was pretty straightforward, and you could certainly make the argument that the title change to OVE shouldn't have happened and should have been saved for later. But at least they didn't do anything that was like profoundly stupid or something that didn't make any sense. And you could get the story behind it. And then they went out there and the match delivered. This, again, for me, might have been the only match that really felt like a Bound for Glory match. Whereas everything else was like a slightly more hyped version of Impact or something. But they were going high risk and jumping off of balconies and stuff. They had some really cool stuff in this match. And yeah, it was rushed. It didn't get enough time. Thank you very much, El Patron. But for what we got, I was very pleased with the match. And then the finish happened. Sami Callihan comes out, gets no reaction because no one in the audience can freaking see him. Because they refused to put the live feed up on the Tron for reasons I will never understand. And, production kind of doesn't get him in the shot when he attacks Konnan. And apparently he kind of botched the pile driver on I don't know, Ortiz or Santana, one of them, through a table there. And, okay, I see where they're going with the double turn. And I'm on board with that. I don't think it was done very well. Because like the whole storytelling in the match was kind of messed up. Because they go in there with the story being 51-50 street fight, LAX are bringing the whole family, and then the family doesn't show up. At least they had sort of an explanation for why Homicide wasn't there. Okay, Sami Callihan takes him out backstage. All right, fine, I get it. But Diamante doesn't get an explanation. Okay, she says she's going to be there. They're bringing the whole family. Here's Bound for Glory. Where's Diamante? I don't know. They don't say where she is. Did she get taken out by Sami Callihan too? Beats me. They never mentioned it. She's just not there. So by all rights, this storyline should have been OVE trying to fight this uphill battle, fighting against this numbers advantage that LAX have, and then the switch flips, and then they turn heel at the end, and it's a big surprise when it happens. But instead, you had a mostly fair fight between these two teams. I think Konnan may have interfered once or twice. But for the most part, it was a fair fight. And so the whole storytelling was really messed up here. And I don't think they did enough post-match to really sell the heel turn. But ultimately, the heel turn itself, the double turn, that makes sense to me. Because given the current political climate, LAX being heels in the first place didn't really make any sense to me at all. I thought it was way more fitting for them to be baby faces when they showed up. And, well, OVE, I think it's pretty clear by now that the fans aren't going to cheer for them over LAX, so might as well make them heels. So I think that's much more fitting at this point. Plus, it does give them a little more story to work with if they're going to continue this feud. And since they don't seem to have any other viable tag teams right now, they're probably going to have to.
CFK9, I think that the double turn had to happen, not so much because of LAX, because of how bad OVE was doing. I mean, OVE was just terrible. I mean, I've come on pretty much every week and just bashed the crap out of them, and they seem like nice guys. I hate doing it. I understand what you're saying about the political climate and making lax good guys. At the same point in time, the LAX is, I mean, they're kind of thugs. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you could never do that with, Garza Jr. and Laredo Kid. They got to be good. You know what I'm saying? LAX, on the other hand, I mean, they're supposed to be sort of like the heelish type. That having been said, I don't think there was anybody that wanted OVE to win this match. So LAX, they were the faces whether they wanted to be or not. And this gives them, moving forward, an interesting opportunity. They now have booked themselves to a position where they can make LAX be the exact same team they currently are. Right down to those segments that I actually love, where, they're in the dingy environments and whatnot at the clubs, and make them faces. And that's kind of cool. You don't get that opportunity very often. I don't have a lot of confidence in this creative team after watching the show to pull that off, but I think that would be a great thing. The match itself, look, if I'm going to bash them when I don't think they're wrestling well, I'm going to give OVE some credit. By far and away, OVE this is their best match. And they were actually very, very good in it. And I want to make sure that I say that, because when I'm hard on them, I want to make sure when they do something right that I'm being fair and that I'm giving them some props. We saw Dave Christ, take some bumps. We saw Jake do some stuff. This match itself, guys are giving it the match of the night. I tend to go with the X Division match in this one, and it's probably because of the ending. The ending of this was just terrible. Nobody had any idea who Sami Callihan was. Nobody had any interest in Sami Callihan. The crowd didn't know. The crowd wasn't pumped up, and it was just like, oh, there he is. What's he do? He botches a move and ends the match, and we're done. So you had a match which was going over very well. The crowd was into it. I know I was into it, right? And OVE was in a match that I was into. And I like LAX, but I'm not one of the huge fans like some of you guys are. I know Chef is. But I was really into this match. And then it was like, okay, we're going to pull this out from underneath of you. And when you look at some of the lacklusterness of before this, it was like, gee, thanks, guys. This is just what I needed. So to me, given the match as a match, I'm going to give this match, probably like 4.5 stars. If you just count out that sliver of time where Sami Callihan got involved and looked like he had no idea what he was supposed to do, it was just sad. It was bad.
By far for me, match of the night. By far. I mean, nothing else really came close to me. This match was pretty fucking legit. Wrong team won, but it was awesome. Also, what I do want to say here is we did this preview show, and Raven Effect RAV told you so. I told you all that LAX was going to be the ones getting cheered and OVE was going to get booed. I called it. It was coming out. It's not for like LAX being more face. It's because of how bad OVE had been. Like LAX got over big as heels, and FK9, you're right about the political climate and all, but I also think like being thug gangsters and stuff. Like LAX for me, I don't know that I really buy them as faces, but we're gonna see how that goes going forward. We saw Homicide taken out. They didn't even mention Diamante, which sucks. Because if there's anyone that I am like excited to see just come out and finally make their debut, it's to see what Diamante is gonna do in the Knockouts division. But yeah, they didn't even mention her and shit. I mean, fucking A, man, the way that things are going with this company and people that have been injured and whatnot, wouldn't surprise me if she's gone. I'm not saying she is, so don't say Raven Effect said Diamante's gone from the company, but shit, I wouldn't be surprised the way things are going. But dude, that dive that Hurl said reminded him of ECW. That dive that Santana did was so sick. He just went out there, balls to the wall, did it, like didn't even hesitate. That definitely reminded me of ECW. This match had an ECW feel. I'm an ECW guy. What did the fans chant? We can't see you, or can't see shit, or something like that? Do you guys remember exactly what they chanted when that was happening? Anyone? Well, apparently no one's gonna say anything.
I think it was "We can't see you." I think it was "We can't see you."
I got more crickets on that one.
They didn't say you. They said a different word.
That's a potty mouth word.
Yeah.
We don't use those on the Heelcast.
So they say we can't see shit.
Yeah.
Or they said we can't see shit. Yeah, that could have been that.
That was awesome. Awesome. Literally, I got more crickets on that question to start than when I'm like, hey, who's in for doing the show this week?
Actually, if I'm correct, Raven Effect, we were doing the show and you kind of crashed it at the last minute.
I'm talking overall in general when it comes down to like shit or get off the pot time, which is why we need to get FK9 on Facebook so we can actually get him on there. But
or he could just follow me on Twitter so I could actually DM him from my own account.
Why would he follow you?
I can't DM him from my account.
Like, I can understand why he would follow me, but like you, I don't get it.
What? Follow you?
Apparently not, because I can't direct message you.
Here Here
I mean,
comes
I
the
don't
heel
blame
turn.
you.
It's an oversight on my part.
You don't follow him on Twitter. Here comes the fucking heel turn of the century under Impact standards. I mean, this is just as bad as not sending a tweet or
We're
a
already
text
the
or a phone call.
Heelcast. We're already
Exactly. But yeah, that suplex on the chair, Hurls was right. It did look cool. Granted, the dumbass overshot him way too far and actually put himself on the chair instead of I can't remember if it was Santana or Ortiz. The other thing I want to say is people have kind of brought up on Asylum the past couple of days, talking in particular about Santana and thinking the guy has some star power to break out. I tend to agree. I think Santana, definitely not right now because we need tag team wrestling and LAX is kind of established and he's far from getting like a big push. But somewhere down the line, I think Santana could really break out as a single star. But man, LAX is by far the best tag team, the most credible. Sami Callihan getting no reaction whatsoever. I mean, that was just literally this killed the crowd. Like OBE winning, Callihan doing all that, it killed the crowd. But still, man, this match was awesome. It was match of the night. Probably the match of the year in Impact, which isn't really saying much, but I think it can narrow it down to like 2, maybe 3 matches that I've really thought blown my mind this year. But that's about all I have to say on this. But wrong team won, and I hope to see LAX get the belts back. And the rumors that Homicide is actually finally going to start wrestling again, and I hope that they don't make him a jobber like they did when he wrestled Alberto. I want to see my man Homicide back, dude, because Homicide is awesome. He's way cooler than Suicide. I'm done. We can move forward.
All right. Now, speaking of Suicide, we will not go to FK9 until the end on this one, folks, because we're afraid he might commit it.
This
is the Knockouts Championship match where Gail Kim Sienna defeats Allie and Sienna to win the Knockout Championship. Look, folks, I will go first on this. I have no problem with this whatsoever. And I know that there's some crow that's getting ready to be eaten here, and I'm going to eat some of it. But what I will tell you is that I have no problem taking the goat and letting her go out on top. To me, the only thing it does is it says Allie and Sienna are willing to respect what Gail did for the business. And I have more respect for them than I already did, which is pretty hard to do because I think extraordinarily highly of both of those women. This is a very good match. It was a solid match. There were no botches like there were in some of the other ones. But Gail Kim comes out on top, and Gail Kim gets to retire as champ. And I would like to see this happen a little bit more often in this industry.
You know, before we do any analyzing talk on this, Impact dude, you and I, we got some crow to eat, a big old steaming pile.
We do.
For I don't know, like 2, 3, 4, 5 years now, FK9's kind of not been too big on Gail Kim, and FK9 had said this whole time that Gail's probably going to leave as a champion, not going to put anyone over, and just walk out, hog all the glory, et cetera, et cetera. And both of us have said no. Give props to Gail. Gail deserves it. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve all the accolades she's had and whatnot, but we both said, look, she's going to put over either Allie or Rosemary, or then Taya came along. Both of us had said she's going to go out and she's going to put one of these girls, if not both of them, over. So this was announced as her final match, and she didn't do shit. And I'm gonna, when I actually talk about it, I'll get my thoughts on it. But FK9, we want to say that you were right and we are wrong. And if you wouldn't mind making Impact dudes actually boil his crow and like maybe barbecue mine or something, I don't know, just make his taste shittier than mine, please.
I got nothing for you on that one, Raven Effect.
What's that?
I got nothing for you on mine tasting shittier than yours.
I'll actually just eat a bowl of shit.
I thought you ate bowls. I thought you ate bowls of was it dick? You eat bowls of dick soup. It's dick soup that you eat.
Oh, dick soup? Yeah, who's not having 3 penis wine and dick soup?
Penis soup. That's what it is. It's penis soup. Penis dick. Either way, you're eating it.
FK9's gonna close this. Who's gonna go? Me or Hurls? Who's gonna talk about it next?
Well, you were already on a tear. Why don't you go?
All right, fuck it, Hurls. I'm gonna finish this one out. Look, man, I this was the shittiest match of the night to me by far, dude. Abyss and Grado I thought was better than this one. This sucked, and this is Gail Kim's last match. It sucked. It was so fucking bad. They need to just stop pretending like Allie does not know what she's doing in there. I mean, she's been training. I mean, D'Angelo Williams picked it up in 2 weeks. We can at least pretend that this girl's gotten better in a year. Man, this is her last match. Said it was her last match. The match just sucked. It was boring, kind of rushed, anticlimactic, and you know, I don't like the fact that Gail's not going to put someone over. She needed to put over Allie or Rosemary or Taya, like anyone. She needed to come out there and do the right thing and make a star out of this. And they're trying to like promote her. You know, she says Allie and Taya are the next big thing. Skips Rosemary. Well, then go out and fucking put Allie over on your way out and make this girl a goddamn star. She's like Allie has came so close to being a star. This creative team has totally not done shit for Allie to help her. So why not let Gail just escalate her to a star? Because the Impact Zone is way behind Allie. She's still America's sweetheart. But I don't like it. And I assume we'll probably have to have a tournament for this belt when we should be having a tournament for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships, if anything. But, you know, on top of it, Gail, you're leaving. You're kind of chefing over the roster. But the thing is, this company's already taken enough flack and heat. And I don't watch the company or anything like that. But the WWE apparently has had like a Mae Young Classic and like a big women's tournament and all recently. It's just going to make it seem like they're trying to ride WWE's coattail success of it because it got a lot of prep. We got like a lot of props and attention. You know, they're not copying them because they're stuck in a bind because, you know, they can't actually force the girl to go out and perform and put over and drop the belt. She's retired. She's letting go of the belt, apparently, would be my guess. But just it just sucks. And FKN was right. And this it's on creative too, but this has kind of really put a bad taste in my mouth for Gail Kim to retire. But thank you, Gail. Hurls, what you got, bud?
I want to say that I agree with Raven as far as the match quality. I thought the pacing was pretty sloppy. It wasn't smooth. A lot of the moves were, you could kind of tell they were going to happen a lot sooner than they did. I did enjoy the giant eat defeat. That was pretty cool, but Gail winning, I mean, it was easy to predict, but I don't think it was the right move. And it pissed Ricochet off, a guy that you're possibly going to be bringing into the company. He's one of the bigger name free agents on the indies, and he thought that somebody should have went over Gail and got the spotlight there. But if that was Gail Kim's last match and she doesn't lose, I think that's kind of low, and I think that she should have put somebody over on her way out. That's all I think. I understand she is the greatest knockout / women's wrestler of all time, in my opinion, and a lot of people's. But I think you got to give the rub to somebody. That's really all I'm going to say about this match because I know FK9's got a lot to say. So without any further ado, folks, FK9.
Okay. Well, Raven and Dude kind of buried the lead a little bit with all the mentions of Crow because I had a whole bit I was going to do, and now I can't do it. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, you better. You better.
Yeah. How do you guys like your Crow? Because I got a waiter over here who's bringing out 2 giant steaming helpings of the stuff. Gail Kim's going to put somebody over in her last match? Really? Really?
Really?
Is that what you guys thought? Well, if that's what you guys really thought, then I'm sorry, but you don't know Gail Kim. That's not the Gail Kim that I've come to know over the last couple of years. And look. I'll give her all the respect that she's due because she has done a lot for women's wrestling in this knockout division in general. But there comes a point when you gotta give that respect back. Ricochet said that, look, it's your last match. You should put somebody over. You should give the rub to somebody else. And some of the Impact employees, I think JB specifically, got a little defensive about this. Accused him of being disrespectful or something. Look, I like JB a lot. I've met him. He's a super nice guy. But I got to take him to task for that. I don't think it's disrespectful to suggest that a wrestler should give back to the business that's given so much to them in their last match. The fucking Undertaker put somebody over in his last match, and that guy hates jobbing even more than Gail does. If the Undertaker can do it, I don't know why Gail has such a problem with this. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to agree with Raven on the match. By Gail standards, this was not very good at all. I don't know, maybe maybe the back injury is holding her back. Maybe she can't really go like she used to anymore or something. But that was not the way you'd want her to go out. Not a very good match at all. And, I've said this before, that I didn't want Gail in this title match. I didn't think she needed to be in the title match. But if you're going to do this retirement angle, fucking do it right. That's the least you can do. You've got some money on the table here. You can make money with this angle, with a Gail Kim retirement angle, if you do it right. People might go to see the show, might buy the show, might pay money to see the show if you present a Gail Kim retirement match and build it up the right way and present it the right way. People will tune in to see that if you do it right. They didn't even try. Okay, the angle building up to this was shit. They didn't focus on it at all. It's like they were purposely ignoring it. I don't know why in the world they want to do that. Then they have the match. The match isn't good. There's no pre-match vignettes or hype videos highlighting Gail Kim's career or her retirement or anything. And then they have the match. It's over. Gail wins predictably because God forbid she put anybody over who's not herself at this point. Then afterwards, they had one fucking job. One fucking job. All they had to do was stay on this. Just stay on it. Let the cameras roll for a minute. Gail Kim's retired. This is Gail's victory lap. It's her swan song. You just let the crowd chant, "Thank you, Gail." Just stay on it. Just let the moment sink in for a couple of minutes. That's literally all they had to do. But they cut away from this almost immediately to a backstage segment with fucking American Top Team. It's bad enough that they've got kind of an anger-inducing finish with Gail not putting anyone over. It's bad enough that the build-up to it sucked. They don't even stick the landing with the payoff. Nothing about this worked. Literally nothing. And it's been a source of frustration for me, this Gail Kim stuff, because like I said, I like and respect Gail. I always have. But the booking of her, the treatment of her for the last several years has really frustrated me. Because it always seemed like, all due respect to you, Gail, but it kind of seemed like you were putting yourself first and everybody else second. As long as you got your push, as long as you got what you wanted, then the fact that it was affecting all the other knockouts detrimentally didn't really matter so much to you. And really, you can't give somebody a rub on your way out. You said that Ali and Taya were the future of this division. Well, you can't give a rub to Ali in this match on your way out? Did you really need to win one more time? You're retiring. What the hell are you worried about your spot for? You got to go out on top too? Can't give the rub to even one person? I'm sorry. I have a problem with that. I don't think it's disrespectful that you put over the next generation. It's just what you fucking do. The Undertaker knew that. How many jobs you see The Undertaker do over the years? Well, no, when it was his time to go, he respected the business. He put over the next guy, the next top guy. Gail can't give the rub to anyone? Really? I like and respect Gail. I do. Don't get it twisted, all right? I've been a fan of her for a long time. I respect what she does in the ring. One of the best female performers we've ever seen in the ring. But I got to admit, I lost a little bit of respect for her because of stuff like this. I don't like saying that, but it's true. It's just at the end of the day, she's been in business for herself. Now, can you argue that she's a legend and she deserves to choose the way she goes out? You can say that, but I think the classy thing to do would be to give back and to help somebody else out when you're leaving. Because this division, I've been saying this for a long time, this division needed to get ready for the day when Gail Kim was not there anymore. They needed to be able to hit the ground running when they didn't have that Gail Kim crush to fall back on. They never bothered to do that. They had some girls who managed to make themselves stars despite the fact that Gail Kim wasn't really helping them out in any significant way. Allie, Rosemary. But, how much did Gail really help them out in that? With that situation? No, that was just because these girls just happened to be incredibly talented and good at what they do. They got over because of how good they are, not because anyone was helping them out. And now it's their division now. Them and Taya and LVN and a couple other of those girls, but they don't have that veteran that can make these new girls now. It's a whole new division finally. Like the last remnant of the original knockout division, the original knockout generation, that's gone now. It's a whole new division, and they don't have anyone else who can make stars of these new girls, who can put them over and give them that rub, because Gail was the last person who could have done that, and she didn't want to do it. She was too busy making sure that she got what she wanted. It bothers me. It really does. It puts a sour taste in my mouth, and I don't like saying that. But it just, at the end of the day, it just felt like Gail was more concerned about getting what she wanted than she was about looking out for other people. And it just, I have an issue with that. I really do.
You know, honestly, FK9, I think that they're not in a bad spot as you think they are. I think that Rosemary is fully capable of giving the rub and has been actually doing it for quite some time. You know, if you look at Taya coming in, you know, she went over on Rosemary as a way to, you know, pull her up the card. And actually Sienna, to some extent, too, you know, winning the Knockouts title and, you know, getting that nice run that she had with it. Now, if we're going to talk about the rub, how about we talk about Lashley and King Mo, Stephan Bonner and Moose, and the rub that I don't know whether American Top Team was given the rub or whether they just took it hurls. But in my opinion, I was pretty impressed with American Top Team, particularly Dan Lambert throughout all of this. But what's your take on this? How did you think about how they came off on this pay-per-view?
I thought they looked a lot better than they were supposed to. For Dan Lambert's pretty much, we'll just say it was his first time in wrestling, even though he did mention he's got a lot of titles and he did some stuff with the UWF back in the 90s. But I think Dan Lambert, I mean, he could be a character you could keep around for a while because he's kind of got that heel manager, you know, something you love to hate the guy. He could be a manager of some wrestler going forward. So, you know, he impressed me as far as that goes. But as far as the match itself, it was a little different to me because it was basically a fake MMA exhibition / wrestling match. It seemed like Lashley and Moose just beat the two MMA guys, and then they would go and lay down for a while and sell their injury while Lashley and Lashley and Moose basically had a one-on-one match for a while. And then I just got to say, like, there wasn't really a point to the cage because it didn't keep any of the American Top Team members out of it. So eventually they just come back in there and, you know, interfere anyway. So what was the point of the cage? You know, the numbers game caught up, and, you know, I get that. Moose and Bonner can't fight them all off. So that makes sense, and it makes sense that Lashley won. But at the same time, it just seemed like there wasn't really a point to have the cage since all of them got in there. Now, I will say Colby Covington, they need to keep that guy because there's something about him that I really like. Even though he's not a wrestler, he's just got a really good presence. And the way he interacts with the crowd, it's the little things like that. I would definitely love to see more of Covington in Impact Wrestling. But, you know...
So would Brazil. The entire country of Brazil would also like to see him in Impact Wrestling.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I heard he drew some controversy there. But, you know, Moose was over, as always. Crowd chanting Moose all night. Moose is awesome. And I hope to God by next Bound for Glory, he's going for the world title. Because I think they got to pull the trigger on Moose in 2018 for sure. He's got to get the title in 2018. But, you know, the match wasn't bad. It was a little clunky at times. The interference just didn't really make sense with the cage being there. So that's my main complaint. And also, Moose and Bonner should have brought some more backup. There were some guys that were sitting on the shelf that they could have probably brought out and maybe had their back.
I hate this feud. I hate it. Every time I see Dan Lambert on this show, I want to punch something. Not in a, oh, wow, he's such a great heel kind of way either. No. Because every time I see Dan Lambert, every time he appears in this storyline, it's all about Dan Lambert. every time he's there, he sucks all the attention onto himself. And suddenly the feud isn't about Lashley, it isn't about King Mo, it isn't about Moose, it isn't even about Stephen Bonner, it's about Dan Lambert. He's the one getting the most TV time, he's the one getting the most mic time, he's the one getting the most attention, and he's not even the guy in the fucking match. So basically, you've got a storyline that really made very little, if any, sense to begin with, that's completely focusing on the wrong person, that's focusing on all the wrong stuff, that's really seems more interested in putting over American Top Team than any of the actual Impact talent. And then after you make us suffer through all this for weeks, you go in there and you put over American Top Team over your own talent. Why? Why on earth would you do this? What, are you gonna continue this fucking feud now? Nobody wants to see this. This feud is stupid. It sucks. It makes no sense. It's focusing on all the wrong people. This match was messy. It's probably the best thing I can say about it. You know what? You know what? Props to Moose. Guy dove off the fucking cage. That guy's like, what, 6'5", 6'8", 300 pounds, something like that, diving off the cage. Props to Moose. That was crazy. But the rest of this, oh, man, I had a hard time following it. Hard time paying attention. I just wanted it to be over. They're trying to do some faux MMA stuff. The crowd is dead for it. Nobody cares. Then then like Earl said, the cage didn't even keep out the people it was supposed to keep out. So the fucking stipulation felt pointless. Then American Top, they just run in there and just do the same shit they've been doing the whole time, just stirring shit up. You know, double teaming, triple teaming, quadruple teaming, just bum rushing all the baby faces, being MMA thugs and just putting themselves over the talent. I don't know what is to be gained from this. I think Moose is probably gotten less over because of this. Lashley is just fading into the background. And how do you do that with arguably your biggest crossover star in Bobby Lashley? He's not even the star of this feud. He's just standing in the background while Dan Lambert talks. How is that supposed to get him more over? It's not. It's getting him less over. It's making him less interesting. I hate this fucking feud. I just want it to go away. And this match did nothing to alleviate that. Fuck this segment. Props to Moose for that big spot off the cage, though. He was cool. Stephen Bonner, he looked like he was trying. Lashley, he did his thing. King Mo, I don't remember off the top of my head anything he did, but let's face it, he's been a complete non-entity in this feud up to this point, to the point where I didn't even know why he was in the match because he hadn't done shit up until then. Honestly, like I said on my show, it would have made more sense to have Lashley teaming with Dan Lambert. Because let's face it, he's the one the whole storyline has been about. He didn't even get his comeuppance here. It's Bound for fucking Glory. This is the fucking show where the storylines are supposed to culminate and climax, where you're supposed to get the big payoff. It's not the part where you just say, oh, well, we've seen that before. I guess this feud is going to continue for a while. No, fuck that. This should have been the big payoff. Now we're just going to do more of it? We're going to put up with more of this American Top Team shit? Kiss my ass.
I'm done. I am done with you. I'm done with this entire show.
Somebody else talk now.
Mic drop, right? Virtual mic drop from FK9.
Yeah.
I got to say, FK9, you're going to hate me for this, but I love Dan Lambert. I think Dan Lambert's come off as a total star. I'd love to see him as a full-time wrestling manager. Now, we both realize that there's the American Top Team pay grade, and then there's the Impact pay grade, right? So let's not kid ourselves. That'll never happen. But I think he's been a breath of fresh air. Forgive me for that. In wrestling in general, I think that he just shows that we need managers, and good managers that can talk at that. I thought that American Top Team, they come off very NWO-like for me. You know, I go back to the NWO days, as I know Hurls does as well, looking at his icon on my screen right now. And, you know, I say to myself, they were a bunch of thugs that came in and did whatever the heck they wanted to do. Now, I'm going to buy into what you're saying about, you know, you can't do this with American Top Team forever. These guys do have life outside of professional wrestling, and they're going to go back to those lives. And, you know, Colby Covington's going to make a lot more money in MMA than he would ever make for Impact Wrestling. Again, you know, keep your feet on the ground, folks. Reach for the stars, but keep your feet on the ground and firmly planted there. So I had no problem with them in this spot. I totally agree with FK9 that this shit needs to be the blow-off. they can always bring American Top Team back to do something else with somebody not named Moose. Now, since we brought up Moose is a star. This guy has got to be the world champion in 2018. It is a crying shame if he's not a world champion in 2018. Now, I'm talking worse than James Storm, worse than what they've done with EC3. This is a guy that just steps up every single time. 6'6", 300 pounds, jumping off of a cage. Who else does that? Who else does a lot of the things that Moose does? Flat out, folks, best big man in the business. It's not even close. For my money, I can't think of anybody that even comes close to where Moose is. So to that effect, Moose is putting Moose over FK9. I agree with you. I don't think American Top Team has helped to put him over, but he puts himself over, and that's what the great ones do. They put themselves over, and Moose just looked like this was just the Moose show. In fact, Raven Effect and we were exchanging texts during this match, and he was saying the exact same thing. This has basically turned into the coming out party for Moose. And I'll be honest with you, I think Moose threw it for himself. The match itself, the ending was terrible. I think you could say that about pretty much every match on this card at this point. Why they didn't find a way for Moose to go over. Or, you know what? Have somebody else come down and help him out. And then shift the feud if you're going to keep American Top Team around away from Moose and onto that new person. But a way to get, Moose as well as my good boy, the American Psycho, over in the match. I thought Bonner was good in the match for what he was, which was just, a guy that filled in. I never understood where he came from. He just kind of showed up with Moose one night on an Impact, and it was like, oh, I'm teaming with Moose now. It's not like they established that he had a beef with American Top Team. Like maybe if they brought Rampage Jackson in, right? Or something like that. So, I didn't get that either. All in all, though, I thought it was good for what it was. I did think that this was a pretty good match. I did enjoy the match. And I do, unlike FK9, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens at the Fallout.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to agree with FK9 on is Dan Lambert not being likable. Because, like I have said, I watched that season of The Ultimate Fighter, which was the Black Zillions against American Top Team. And I just didn't like Dan Lambert at that time. However, I like him a little bit more now than I did on the show, but just as a natural person, I don't enjoy the guy too much. But I think the guy is a fucking great promo, and he generates heat like nobody's business when he talks, and they got to keep that shit up. When he came out and just trashed Impact like 2 weeks ago on the show, that dead-ass crowd in the Impact Zone on marathon tapings, that he woke them up and got heat out of that crowd like nobody else got. That his entire set of tapings. Yeah, like the former brother _ just said, that match to me was literally just Moose showcasing off his skills. I do feel like by the end of 2018, Moose should be our champion, and I'd like to see something big like at Bound for Glory instead of just a random Impact match or maybe even Slammiversary if they throw out another pay-per-view, et cetera, et cetera. But, I mean, like the go to hell off the cage, that splash off the top of the cage was awesome. The fake MMA fighting there between King Mo and Stephan Bonner and stuff, it was just atrocious. It looked bad. Literally, the takedowns that King Mo would hit actually looked like legitimate takedowns, and that wasn't too bad, but everything else was pretty fucking stupid and terrible looking. And the one thing I want to bring up, so Ryan Satin for the second time, he came out and he said something along the lines of how he's in disbelief that King Mo, after all these years of training, is still that bad as a pro wrestler. And King Mo fucking punked him out and responded and said, I've actually only trained for about 2 months because all this stuff and time I'm spending doing MMA, I don't have a lot of time. And Satin just backed down and was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Just basically took it like a little bitch. And then King Mo was like, I'd like to see you go out and try and wrestle. No, I'm not athletic. Shut your little punk-ass pussy mouth. Fuck this Ryan Satin guy, for real. All he's trying to do is just slam Impact. He's a little bitch. I'd like to fight this guy, to be honest. But honestly,
hey, you know what? Maybe you could tag team with the Jake Chris guy.
No, fuck that. I'll fight that dude from Punk talking shit about BQ. But
oh, you and BQ versus Jake Chris and Ryan Satin. And
yeah,
you know what? Dave Meltzer at ringside. We'll let him announce or be a manager or something.
That'd be legit. The only fucking stipulations is not pro wrestling. It's just a flat out fight. But honestly, FK9, I want to see this feud continue. I don't think that this should have been a continuation, really. I felt like Moose and Bonner needed to win, but I think that this American Top Team feud will continue to get Impact over. I do enjoy what's going on. And to be honest, like, this is what people need to realize. This thing with Dan Lambert, not only does it possibly give Impact credibility with MMA fans and stuff that people would no longer, or that wouldn't pay attention or give wrestling credibility when you have like one of the top MMA programs in the entire world, buying into pro wrestling, that kind of gives them some credibility. But this is literally the only chance that they will ever have to see Spike TV in America now that Jarrett's gone. Literally their only fucking chance. And so here's the thing that I need to say, and then we're going to move on. So this Colby Covington thing, he has crazy heat with Brazil. He was the talk of MMA until about last Thursday when it finally came down to like, holy shit, it's GSP against Bisping. So the thing is, Robbie Lawler versus RDA. The winner is apparently supposed to get Tyron Woodley. That's not necessary, though. It may not be the case. Like, Kevin Lee talked his way into a title fight very recently, and a fight he shouldn't have got, and he got Tony Ferguson. Colby Covington now goes out there, he trashes Brazil. He's got the trash talk going. He's getting some heat, some attention. Colby Covington could very easily talk himself into the next title fight with Tyron Woodley. At the very worst, we're probably going to see Colby challenge Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and the winner's going to get whoever wins between Woodley and either Lawler or RDA. So potentially, if you're getting what I'm seeing here, Impact Wrestling could very easily possibly get the UFC welterweight champion, Colby Covington, on TV, on Impact. That's fucking huge for them. A world champion in UFC on Impact regularly or semi-regularly. At the very worst, we may see Colby Covington, a UFC welterweight championship contender, on Impact. I mean, this could be really big for the company, and let's face it, this is a company that really needs something big to happen to them.
All right, then. There you got Raven's MMA report. We had to work that in here at some point, folks. That and a dick joke. Raven Effect, we've only had dick soup tonight. We have not had any dick jokes.
Crap erection.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of dicks, let's talk about Eli Drake.
Eli Drake
Defeating Johnny Impact to retain his Impact Championship. You see that transition there? It made absolutely no sense whatsoever, but hell, we had a transition. So Hurls, this is the main event of the night. I had a pretty interesting ending to it as well. What are your thoughts on Eli Drake going over on Johnny Impact?
Shocked. I knew Alberto was going to interfere. Obviously, some way. I thought it was either going to be in the main event or it was going to be in the LAX tag match. I wasn't sure which, but when he did the 20-minute rant at the beginning of the show, I figured it was going to be during the main event. And as far as the match leading up to the Alberto El Patron's interference, I thought it was awesome. I thought that Eli Drake is a main event player. His wrestling is starting to go along with his mic skills. That's how much I'm into Eli Drake right now. I think his jump up to the top rope, do a quick suplex is phenomenal. The guy works well with Johnny Impact. I think those two put on a fantastic match. As far as the finish, it was a little disappointing, but given the circumstances of Alberto El Patron, it makes sense because you knew he was going to come in there. I know a lot of people who don't watch Impact hated it because they don't watch Impact, so they figure, oh, it's just another TNA run-in that they always have done in the past. And, you know, those fans ain't Impact fans to begin with. They're just looking for something to hate. But I actually thought the way Alberto El Patron came in there, did the chair shots, the brutal-looking chair shots, mind you, the head shots, which you never see in wrestling anymore, those looked really sick. And, you know, it was cool to see him not only hit Johnny Impact, but to hit Eli Drake as well. But then at the last second decide to put Eli Drake on top of Impact for the 1, 2, 3. That's what shocked me. I would have thought this is the same old Impact that's going to go with the former WWE star, wins the title at the biggest show. But they surprised me, and Eli Drake winning or retaining the title, that was awesome for me. Even though it was not a clean finish, I think I was happy at the end that Drake retained, and because I think it would have been way too soon for Impact to win that title. So main event was a really, really good match. Or let's also talk about Johnny Impact going under the barricade, a la AJ Styles, and Eli Drake not knowing where he went. That was such a cool spot for me. But the match was really good until the finish. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I think I'm pleasantly surprised that Eli Drake retained.
I believe that between this match and the one they had on Impact a few weeks ago, that's probably, you could say that Johnny Impact has given Eli Drake his 2 best matches. Would you guys agree with that?
Giving him what? I'm sorry.
Yes.
His 2 best matches in this company.
I think you said
Yes.
3. Yeah, absolutely his 2 best matches by far.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
agreed.
All right. So, I don't know. You could debate which one was better. It's not really the point. A really good match. It didn't feel to me like a proper Bound for Glory main event. That's just because the build-up wasn't there. That's nothing on these guys. But I really enjoyed the match. The finish was kind of frustrating. First of all, the production kind of screwed up the shot there, so you could see Patron coming before he was supposed to get involved. So they got to work on that stuff. I don't know why you would do this show where you had to bring in so many new production people for Bound for Glory. This is not the pay-per-view where you need to be working the kinks out. This is where you're supposed to have your shit together. So you can't be missing shots like this. Stupid. So they kind of ruined that moment. It wasn't really surprising to me because, again, they really telegraphed it for me when Patron did that promo earlier. I said to myself, if he's going to get involved in the main event, he's probably going to attack Johnny Impact because he's their new golden boy. He's the guy who kind of took the place of Patron. He's turning heel here. He's going to attack Johnny Impact. And that, lo and behold, that's exactly what he did. So they really should have cut that promo entirely and had this be the first time Patron showed up. It would have been much more shocking that way. Now, it was a little bit more shocking when he attacked Eli Drake. I was like, okay, cool. Badass tweener, I can roll with this. But, again, it does harken back to those overbooked clusterfuck finishes a little bit. So I've really had my fill of those at this point. Again, it's Bound for Glory. You kind of want to see some finality here and not just a big commercial for, watch Impact on Thursday to see what happens. This is kind of the place where you want to get that period at the end of things. So a little frustrating with that. I am, however, pleasantly surprised that Eli Drake walked into Bound for Glory with the World Championship and walked out of Bound for Glory with the World Championship. That's awesome. I didn't want Johnny Impact to win the title. I'm sure he's going to win it before too long. But, all due respect to the guy, in my opinion, he's not really somebody you can build a franchise around. Not until the dude's mic skills get better. I'm sorry, man. You still got to work on those. So Eli is the world champion for a while longer. That's great. I assume we're going to be hopefully maybe getting a Johnny Impact occupied with an Alberto El Patron feud. That's cool. Maybe give Eli somebody else to feud with in the short term. That's cool with me. So I like the match. It didn't have that epic feel to it, but again, that's because of the build-up. And the finish had me kind of just, it was like, really? We're going with that. Wasn't even that surprising. So they had some kinks to iron out here, some definite kinks. And that did detract from this somewhat, but hey, the right guy went over. And you can't always say that about a Bound for Glory pay-per-view main event.
First of all, the thing I want to throw in here because we forgot it that I want to make sure is mentioned is one of the shocking and better moments of the night was Jimmy Jacobs coming out. And hopefully Jimmy Jacobs is going to be performing in the ring as a wrestler, but also he was doing creative with NXT and whatnot. Hopefully we get some creative input from Jimmy Jacobs and, hopefully he maybe steps in as an agent at some point too, maybe, because I'm going to speak on that here as I wrap up. But Eli Drake versus Johnny Impact. I didn't want to see Impact win. I love the guy, but I didn't want to see him win. FK9, you mentioned his mic skills and all. I agree with you there. Apparently, from what I've been told, like on Lucha, when he plays the heel, he's like a fantastic promo. But his stuff as a face has not been good. I don't know, what does he say, like Slam City or something like that? It's just not good. But yeah, I mean, it was a fucking great match with a shitty ending, and we were basically told that it was going to happen when Alberto came out. We all called it before the match, like anything even happened on pay-per-view. We expected Alberto to be involved in this match. But yeah, I mean, definitely some cool spots. It really, and especially when he slid under that guardrail. But yeah, man, honest to God, what this match felt like too. felt like the match before. It was kind of a showcase of Moose's skills. This really, to me, felt more like a Johnny Impact showcase of his skills. I mean, Johnny kind of dominated the entire match with his offense and all, but it did make Eli Drake look pretty damn resilient as a champion because, you know, Drake, I mean, for fuck's sake, the guy's lost in feuds to Grado and shit like that. Now he's our champ, but, you know, he kicked out of everything every time he thought maybe Eli was going to be beaten. It made him look like a credible champion. And I don't know if we're eventually going to see Eli Drake face turn or whatnot. But it definitely, I think it did good things for both of them. And I'm just happy that they kept the belt on Eli. Because like I've said on the show, 3-4 weeks straight now, there is no one in this entire business on Eli Drake's level. He is on a complete different planet and different level than anyone else. He is the greatest fucking thing in wrestling right now. But guys, and I'll cap this off, but what I want to say, just Bound for Glory as a whole, man, whoever was the agent for these matches, other than, you know, I know Sanjay's running the X Division. Whoever was the agent for this needs fired. You didn't see chemistry and endings and just matches so lackluster when Jeff Jarrett was around this past year. You didn't. That's another thing that's underrated about Jeff Jarrett leaving. And when you think about Impact Wrestling this entire year, man, when you look at other companies and all, what match can Impact Wrestling submit that's going to be in the discussion for best match of 2017? Not a single fucking one. Really. Something needs to change with the agents. I'm hoping Jimmy Jacobs can maybe do something there. I mean, Scott D'Amore, I don't know if D'Amore was running it, but he was great with the knockouts and all, but this was just flat out bad. So, and I think stuff needs to change, period. And Jeff Jarrett's a bigger loss than people are expecting on that too. Wow.
Where to start on this? Let's start with the match itself, right? This match is a good match. And, you know, I think that it was said earlier, Eli Drake has really stepped up at Bound for Glory. He knew he was main eventing, and he took his match to a new level. He actually is, guys, starting to have his wrestling match his mic skills. I mean, the guy's athletic, and he's putting out in the ring. He picks his spots, and he nails it. He's still a character first. But now he's a character that can actually wrestle. And not that we thought he was a bad wrestler, but we really didn't think that he was going to put on a match where he was going to go toe-to-toe with Johnny Impact. Now, am I saying he's as good a wrestler as Johnny Impact? No. Am I saying his wrestling performance was as good as Johnny's? No, I'm actually not. But he was more than sufficient to be in that spot, and his character is off the charts. So when you put the two together and you add the pluses and the minuses, you know, he really stands out, even against Johnny. Johnny has character flaws. You know, Raven Effect, you mentioned it before, Slamtown. Does it get more generic than Slamtown? But the guy is still an amazing technician in the ring, and he just does things off the cuff that we don't see anywhere else, and that makes him exciting to watch. So I felt that these two guys both got screwed. I know that, you know, in the world of wrestling, Johnny Impact got screwed because, you know, Alberto El Patron put Eli Drake on top and allowed Eli to, you know, to win and retain the title. But both of those fellas, they put on one heck of a main event match. It really stepped up to the plate, really stepped up to the moment that's supposed to be Bound for Glory. And I'm talking about the moment that was missed in Ishimori and Tyson Dukes. I'm talking about the moment that was missed with Abyss and Grado. I'm talking about the moment that was missed when, you know, when we had Sami Callihan interfere with OVE and Gail Kim didn't get her send off, and there was just far too much interference with Lashley and King Mo versus Bonner and Moose. These guys stepped up and they said, damn it, this is what a pay-per-view headliner is supposed to be like. This is how it's supposed to be done. And how did they get rewarded? Out of nowhere, the camera pans, and there's Alberto with a chair. And what's he do? He starts hitting people with it, knocking everybody out. It's the Alberto El Patron show. Alberto El Patron hasn't been on my TV in months because he got suspended. And now they're going to transition into the next creative angle at this pay-per-view. I got a big problem with that. Now, I know that they switch creative teams, and I promise you folks, if we were behind the scenes and we were actually in the room and creative, that we would actually see this. All right? We would actually see that these guys didn't really know how to end some of these other feuds and transition into what they wanted to do. And it's apparent because you get them literally, they're giving you a hook to watch Impact at the culmination of their #1 pay-per-view. They made you pay $40 to see, whether you bought it on the Fight Network or whether you bought it on pay-per-view. It was the same freaking $40. And they killed it. They killed it by giving us the payoff to Eli Drake and Johnny Impact as Alberto El Patron running rampant on them. Here's a news flash for you. Okay, Mike Johnson got this right. You guys want to hear a great synopsis of all this? Let's go read Mike Johnson's article over at PW Insider. He basically said, bring Alberto out afterwards. Let one of the guys lose. They have nothing to lose by losing in this match. And then let Alberto do his thing. Oh my gosh, we get an actual finish in a main event of a pay-per-view? Terrible. Horrible thought, creative. Raven Effect, you just made mention of the fact that Jeff Jarrett is going to be sorely missed. Honestly, looking at the last set of tapings and how they finished up, I'm not so sure exactly how missed he's going to wind up being. But I can tell you this much. We are not off to a good start, because I feel like I paid $40 and I feel like I spent that $40 for the right to have a hook to watch Impact on Thursday night. I don't feel like I got much else for it because of the way they ended this match. Now, I know FK9 that you're pushing for Jimmy Jacobs to being creative. Now, Jimmy's just getting there, so maybe we'll get something out of Jimmy Jacobs, but I don't know that we're going to get Jimmy Jacobs doing anything creative this round of tapings. And that means that they're putting him in the next round of tapings that we're going to get less continuity all over again. What do you think about that one?
More upheavals and creative, huh? Well, judging by what we saw here, if Bound for Glory 2017 was an accurate representation of what we can expect from this new creative team, maybe another upheaval isn't such a bad idea. I got to tell you, I was not impressed with what they delivered here. Maybe a couple things were beyond their control, but really, if you had to think on the fly, you still couldn't come up with something better than this, then they need help. So yeah, put Jimmy Jacobs in there. Could you think by adding Jimmy Jacobs that it would turn out worse? It would help a little at least, to have another creative mind in there. I mean, this did not impress me at all. The lack of creativity here was palpable. The bad finishes, they couldn't tell that some of these finishes were just going to piss people off, that weren't going to be satisfying. They didn't know that going in. There's very little self-awareness with these people. So yeah, even if it's another upheaval and creative, I say, yeah, put Jimmy Jacobs in there. What have they got to lose at this point?
Yeah, not much. So do you have any other final thoughts on this show?
You know what? I think I'm spent.
I'm saying you're losing your voice, huh? How about you, Hurls? Do you have any other final thoughts on Bound for Glory 2017?
It didn't leave as bad of a taste in my mouth as Bound for Glory 2010 with the Immortal forming. If
10,
that,
10.
They're here.
Dude, don't even get me started.
You know, guys.
That's a positive.
It's a positive. Yeah, I think for me, the positive coming out of this is it's going to be real interesting to watch Impact this week, and it's going to speak volumes as to where they're headed. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of confidence based on what I saw, and that's really a shame. They got a lot of good people there, a lot of people working their tails off, trying to do the right thing. And, I know they had to bounce the ball, go the wrong way. Whether they had anything to do with it or not, we may never know, with Taya, right? But the show just went downhill. So obviously we're rooting for him and all the best, but it's not looking good right now. Raven Effect, how about you? Final thoughts?
My thoughts are it was pretty much a waste of money, other than the world title match, the tag team championship, and the X Division match. I mean, there wasn't anything really had to see with the company. I'll say that it was better than 2014 Bound for Glory, where they just wrestled whatever that fucking company was in Japan. But Hurls, I think Bound for Glory 2010 was a lot better than this one, especially the talent that they had on the roster alone back then to make the matches better. But look, man, my final thoughts are, Jeff Jarrett did book these last set of tapings, or he was in there with Dutch, and they weren't good at all. They were real bad. I'll admit to that. But the first half, over up through up to the match where Eli Drake won the world title. This was the best TNA I had seen in probably since like 2000 into 2009, maybe early 2010. TNA was kind of going back to their roots, and these ratings are dropping really bad, and something needs to fucking change, and something needs to change on these tapings. They need to do it quick. It's do or die. Anthem's cutting costs, they're cutting wrestlers. I don't have any faith in this company really making it past 2018. But you know what? To kind of go off of what FK9 says, it's a new year. 2018 is a brand new year. So Jimmy Jacobs might not have his chance to put a sprinkle on it with creative, but 2018 you can add into it. I say get rid of fucking Snake Gaburik, have your creative booking team be Sanjay, Scott D'Amore, and Jimmy Jacobs, and see what goes from there. I don't want to see Billy Corgan back, and I want to see these motherfuckers come back with a stupid shit to have these ridiculously terrible ideas, and it's more of a bad TV show than pro wrestling. But the one thing, man, this company used to be known for having the best pro wrestling out there, the best wrestling matches out of any company. Now, out of any company, they're by far the worst. The wrestling itself needs to improve, and it's just the wrestling itself, man. It's been so bad at Bound for Glory. It's disappointing.
All right, folks. Well, I got one more big one for you, an announcement here. And Raven Effect, this was right up your alley. I don't know if you've talked to Old School Heel today or not. Have you chatted with Old School Heel today, Raven Effect?
Yes, I have. My fucking computer can't get to the mute button because it's stuck on there. Yeah, I've talked to Old School Hill about this booking competition we're talking about.
So, well, I'm getting ready to talk about it. I was getting ready to talk about it. And that is the Old School Heel has issued a booking challenge on Impact Asylum. So, look, all we've done for this entire show is complain about creative. Here, folks, it is now your opportunity. Show us how you would book Impact. Okay? There will be a $20 Shop Impact digital gift card for the winner. And the way it's going to work is you head over to Impact Asylum, check it out. The next 6 weeks, there's going to be a challenge to see who has the best booking for the next 6 weeks of Impact. And we're going to culminate the pay-per-view. And it's going to be judged by a panel of judges. And like I said, the winner will receive a $20 Shop Impact digital gift card. Folks, if you're an Impact and you're on the creative team and you're listening, you may want to check this out. This may be just what you need. Creative ideas coming from fans that care and spend a lot of time writing it up. So looking forward to seeing those submissions, folks. I will tell you right now, Raven Effect, I am one of the judges. So the nevermore may be nevermore, because I have been paid off to not vote for yours. At any rate, all kidding aside, let's get those in there. Does that sound like a fun idea, guys?
I'm going to do it. I know Old School Hill said he was going to have stuff posted on it either tonight, into the night tonight.
It's up.
It is up. I'm going to participate. I want to hear, I want FK9. I want to see what FK9 would do too. I'm pretty interested to see how FK9 would do things myself. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the time. I've been thinking about it today. Get the whole fucking Heelcast in here, man. I mean, being people over to Asylum and listen to our show. I mean, I know some of our listeners got ideas and stuff. Let's hear it. I mean, shit, who knows who might end up reading it, guys? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. We've seen it happen before.
If you're interested in seeing how I book stuff like this, go to my blog and check out the link called TKO. Just saying.
Send it over. Submit it, FK9. I'm just saying. All right, folks. Well, look, that's it for this edition of the Heelcast. So, on behalf of the entire Heelcast, including my boys, Raven Effect, Hurls, and FK9, folks, have a great week, and we'll see you next time.